Hello, and welcome to the Annual General Meeting of Aurora Cannabis Inc. I will now turn today's meeting over to Michael Singer, who will act as chairman of the meeting. Michael, the floor is yours.
Thank you. My name is Michael Singer, and I am the lead independent director of Aurora Cannabis Inc. I welcome you all to our annual general meeting for the company's financial year ended March 31, 2026. I will act as chairman of this meeting. Joining me today is Miguel Martin, Executive Chairman and Chief Executive Officer, and Natalie Clark, General Counsel and Corporate Secretary at Aurora. I now call the meeting to order and will commence with the formal proceedings to appoint a recording secretary and a scrutineer for the meeting. I appoint Natalie Clark to act as recording secretary for the meeting and Megan Tang of Computershare Trust Company of Canada as scrutineer for this meeting. This meeting is being held in a virtual-only format, which is being conducted via live audio webcast. In terms of formal procedures at today's meeting, as chairman of this meeting, I will propose motions and, in accordance with the articles of the company, no motion proposed by me need be seconded. We will conduct the votes on the matters before us by a poll on the virtual platform. On a poll, every shareholder entitled to vote on the matter has one vote for each share entitled to be voted on the matter and held by that shareholder. The poll will be open for all resolutions at the same time. This will allow you to choose to vote on each resolution immediately or wait until the conclusion of discussion on each resolution prior to casting your vote. Due to the format, there will not be an opportunity to address the meeting in real time during the formal proceedings. However, registered shareholders or duly appointed proxy holders will be able to enter questions to be addressed during the Q&A session following conclusion of the formal portion of the meeting. As is the case with an in-person meeting, due to time constraints, we may not have time to address all questions through the platform and ask that you follow up with our investor relations team if your question is not answered today. There is an online presentation that you will be able to view during the course of the meeting, and viewers are asked to please refer to the disclaimer with regards to forward-looking statements as set out in the presentation. In addition, certain matters discussed during this meeting that are not statements of historical fact could constitute forward-looking statements, which are also subject to risks and uncertainties related to our future financial or business performance. Viewers and listeners are cautioned not to place undue reliance on these forward-looking statements. These forward-looking statements are based on the company and its management's good faith assumptions relating to the financial, market, regulatory, and other relevant environments that will exist and affect the company's business and operations in the future. Actual results could differ materially from those anticipated if these forward-looking statements and the risk factors that may affect actual results are detailed in our annual information form and other periodic filings and registration statements. These documents may be accessed via SEDAR and EDGAR. I now declare the polls open on all resolutions. The notice calling this meeting and all proxy-related materials were delivered to shareholders by notice and access, with the materials posted on the company's website. All registered and beneficial shareholders received a notice and access notification. I have a declaration as to the notice and access meeting mailing for this meeting, which is available for inspection by any shareholder. In view of this, I will dispense from calling for a reading of the notice, and I will ask the recording secretary to file the declaration of the notice and access meeting mailing with the minutes of the meeting. Does the recording secretary have the scrutineer's report on attendance?
Yes, I do. The scrutineer's preliminary written report on attendance states as follows: 0 shareholders in person, representing 0 shares. 146 shareholders by proxy, representing 16,639,239 shares. 146 total shareholders holding 16,639,239 shares. Total shares represented 61,956,924 shares. The percentage of outstanding shares represented at the meeting is 26.86%. This attendance meets the quorum requirement for the meeting.
Thank you, Natalie. The notice of the meeting having been given as required and a quorum being present, I declare this meeting to be duly called and constituted for the transaction of business. The minutes of the last annual general meeting of the company held on August 8, 2025 are filed in the company's record book. I now put forward a motion that the reading of the minutes of the last annual general meeting of the company be dispensed with and that the minutes be taken as read and approved. May I please have a motion that the minutes be taken as read, approved, and adopted as tabled?
So moved.
Thanks, Miguel. Motion carried. I will now table the financial statements for the company's financial year ended March 31, 2026, the report of Ernst & Young LLP, and the related management's discussion and analysis thereon. These financial statements have been filed by the company on SEDAR. I would like to propose that we dispense with reading the financial statements. Please note that there will be a Q&A session after the formal portion of this meeting to discuss the company's financial situation and prospects. May I please have a motion that we dispense with reading the financial statements?
So moved.
Thanks, Miguel. Motion carried. Accordingly, I confirm that the financial statements of the company for the financial year ended March 31, 2026, the report of the auditor and related management's discussion and analysis thereon have been submitted and shall be included by the recording secretary as part of the formal records of this meeting. The next item of business is to fix the number of directors for the ensuing year. Management proposes to fix the number of directors to be elected to the board at 5. I move that the number of directors for the ensuing year be fixed at 5. I will now call for a vote on the motion before the meeting. If you are a shareholder or a voting delegate who is using the virtual platform to vote on this matter, you may do so now. If you have previously voted on this matter and do not wish to change your vote, no further action is required. Would all voting delegates please enter your votes in the system? The next item of business is the election of directors for the ensuing year. Management proposes to nominate 5 persons for election to the board. These persons are all described in the proxy materials, and all of the nominees have agreed to stand for election. The company's articles include advance notice provisions, which provide for advance notice to the company in circumstances where nominations of persons for election to the board are made by shareholders of the company. The company has not received notice of any nominations, and, as such, any nominations other than the nominations disclosed in the proxy materials for this meeting may be disregarded. Therefore, I nominate the following 5 persons as directors for the ensuing year: Miguel Martin, myself, Michael Singer, Chitwant Kohli, Norma Beauchamp, and Rajesh Uttamchandani. The 5 persons nominated are management's nominees for election, as was stated in the information circular for this meeting. I move that the nominations be closed. I now call for a vote on the motion before the meeting. If you are a shareholder or a voting delegate who is using the virtual platform to vote on this matter, you may do so now. If you have previously voted on this matter and do not wish to change your vote, no further action is required. Would all voting delegates please enter your votes in the system? The next item of business is the appointment of the auditor for the ensuing year. The company proposes that Ernst & Young LLP be appointed as auditor of the company for the ensuing year. I now ask for a vote on that motion that Ernst & Young LLP, Chartered Professional Accountants, with offices at Suite 1900, 1133 Melville Street, Vancouver, British Columbia, be appointed as auditor of the company. I now call for a vote on the motion before the meeting. If you are a shareholder or a voting delegate who is using the virtual platform to vote on this matter, you may do so now. If you have previously voted on this matter and do not wish to change your vote, no further action is required. Would all voting delegates please enter your votes in the system? The next item of business to consider is the non-binding advisory vote on executive compensation, also known as Say on Pay, as described in the information circular. To pass, the resolution must be greater than 50% majority of the votes cast by shareholders voting in person or by proxy here at the meeting. I now call for a vote on the motion before the meeting. If you are a shareholder or a voting delegate who is using the virtual platform to vote on this matter, you may do so now. If you have previously voted on this matter and do not wish to change your vote, no further action is required. Would all voting delegates please enter your votes in the system? I will pause briefly and ask that all shareholders and voting delegates finish voting on all items presented, as we will be closing voting shortly. Thank you. I confirm that voting has been closed. I will pause briefly again to allow our scrutineer to advise if sufficient votes have been cast in favor of the items that were presented today. I have received the results of the votes on each item of business. The scrutineer confirms that the company has received sufficient votes in favor of each item of business to carry each motion. Full voting results will be available on SEDAR after this meeting. As all the business for this meeting has been concluded, I declare this meeting terminated. Thank you for attending. We will now move to the informal part of the meeting, and I will turn it over to Miguel Martin. Thank you.
Fiscal 2026 was a strong year for Aurora. Net revenue meaningfully exceeded our outlook. Adjusted EBITDA was above the midpoint of our guided range. We improved adjusted net income by more than $12 million and closed the year with $165 million of cash with no debt. At a high level, our results reflect a business that is becoming more focused, more resilient, and better positioned to convert global medical cannabis demand into long-term shareholder value. This performance was driven by two strategic pillars: our leadership in medical cannabis across nationally legal markets, and our continued discipline in financial management. First, we are anchored by our leadership in medical cannabis across nationally legal markets. More than a decade ago, we anticipated that medical cannabis was poised to be the most attractive and durable segment of this industry, and we invested accordingly, building the science, infrastructure, and regulatory capabilities that allow us to serve patients with consistency, quality, and scale. Today, Aurora is one of Canada's largest global medical cannabis companies, a leading exporter of medical cannabis and a trusted supplier to international markets through our world-class GMP-certified facilities. We are a market leader in Canada, Germany, Australia, and Poland, the four largest nationally legal medical cannabis markets. Most of our production capacity operates within GMP-certified facilities that meet strict international standards. Only a small group of producers, including Aurora, hold this certification required to ship directly into European and Australian medical markets. Our integrated manufacturing and distribution model also helps lower production costs through higher yields, improved potency, and ongoing operational efficiencies. Second, we remain highly disciplined in our financial management. Cost efficiencies enabled us to expand our annualized adjusted gross margin and increase adjusted EBITDA while maintaining a strong balance sheet. This discipline positions Aurora well for the future as we continue to navigate evolving industry dynamics. Here are some highlights from fiscal year 2026. First, net revenue rose 11% to $321 million, driven by double-digit growth in global medical cannabis. This exceeded the top end of our guided range by $8 million. Notably, about 55% of our net revenue was generated outside of Canada. Second, adjusted gross margin rose to 64%. This reflects the benefits of our investments in the value chain, science, and plant genetics, as well as operational efficiencies and capacity improvements. Third, adjusted EBITDA grew 32% year over year, reaching $54 million. And finally, we ended the year with one of the strongest balance sheets in the industry, with $165 million of cash and cash equivalents with no debt. These results give us confidence as we move into fiscal 2027, but they also underscore the importance of maintaining our leadership in global medical cannabis as competition, regulation, and pricing dynamics continue to evolve. We believe Aurora is uniquely qualified to adapt to these industry changes. Rising global GMP standards, heightened competition in Europe, and the reduction in VAT reimbursement in Canada all require us to rely on the same capabilities that helped establish our leadership in medical cannabis: genetics, GMP-compliant manufacturing, commercial execution, operational expertise, and product innovation. In fiscal 2027, we are making targeted investments to capture market share, increase our GMP capacity, pursue margin-accretive targets, and broaden our existing international leadership. This strategy is best evidenced by our recent acquisition of Safari Flower Company, an established EU GMP-certified cultivator and manufacturer that strengthens our position as one of the largest Canadian exporters of medical cannabis. This transaction was accretive to our adjusted EBITDA results during the first quarter, and it provides us with incremental EU GMP capacity that will help us maximize the opportunities in the growing, high-margin international market. As we progress through fiscal 2027, we look forward to providing updates on how Aurora is progressing in our strategy to drive the business to new records for revenue and adjusted EBITDA and generate sustained shareholder returns for the long term. Thank you for your time and for your continued support of Aurora. We would now be happy to move to our Q&A session. In addition to responding to questions submitted through the platform, we will also address common themes we have received through our investor relations mailbox.
Thank you, Miguel. I'm going to start with the most common questions we receive from our shareholders, and I also select questions received through the virtual platform during our AGM today. First question we'd like to start with is, based on fiscal year 2026's reported record performance, what can investors expect in 2027?
Fiscal 2027 is being shaped by changes in Canadian medical and the planned exit from the lower margin Canadian consumer business that can be partially offset by international growth, as we demonstrated in Q1. We are purposely investing in our international business to support growth in our most profitable markets. This includes our new wholly owned subsidiary, Safari Flower Company, a trusted cultivator and manufacturer of high-quality medical cannabis. This acquisition provides incremental capacity to supply the growing international markets. Our fiscal first quarter performance was in line with expectations, with net revenue of $67.6 million, international medical cannabis net revenue growth of 17% to $43 million, and consolidated adjusted gross margin of 58%, at the high end of our annual guidance range. We expect international medical cannabis to continue to grow, supported by continued momentum in Germany and other regulated markets. For the fiscal second quarter, we expect revenue and adjusted EBITDA to be sequentially higher than Q1, and we remain focused on sustained double-digit revenue growth, strong margins, and higher EBITDA contributions over time.
The second question is, as a shareholder, why should I look to continue to invest in your company, especially given the significant reductions in our share price?
Aurora is focused on the most attractive and durable part of the cannabis sector, global medical cannabis, where regulatory complexity, quality standards, and GMP requirements create meaningful barriers to entry. We hold leadership positions in Canada and key international markets, including Germany, Poland, Australia, and New Zealand. Our integrated EU GMP supply network is a key competitive advantage, as we expect GMP standards to become increasingly stringent, a trend we believe favors experienced and established operators like Aurora. We have the ability to ship directly to key international markets and continue supporting the growing patient demand in the years ahead. With nearly $150 million in cash and no debt, Aurora has the financial flexibility to invest behind growth, expand capacity, and pursue disciplined, accretive opportunities that can create long-term shareholder value.
Thank you. Our third question relates to capital allocation. Facing a significant cash balance, how do you plan to deploy this capital, and how is the strategy expected to add shareholder value?
Our capital allocation strategy remains disciplined and focused on strengthening Aurora's leadership in profitable global medical cannabis markets. We intend to deploy capital where it supports strategic and accretive growth, including increased cultivation capacity, EU GMP expansion, targeted site improvements, and selective M&A opportunities. The Safari Flower Company acquisition is a recent example of this approach. It added incremental EU GMP capacity, strengthened our export position, and was accretive to adjusted EBITDA in our first fiscal quarter of 2027. Our strong cash balance and debt-free position allow us to be patient and opportunistic while ensuring any investment or acquisition aligns with our strategy and leaves Aurora in a stronger financial position.
Thanks, Miguel. Our final question relates to international markets. Your guidance referenced international growth will partially offset the decline in Canadian medical revenue. What markets will this growth come from, and what are the key drivers of this growth?
International growth is expected to be led by Germany, our largest and fastest growing international market, where we continue to hold leading share and benefit from strong demand for premium and core medical cannabis products. We're also encouraged by Poland, where Aurora holds the #1 market share position, supported by strong execution, recent import limit increases, and a loyal patient base. Australia and New Zealand remain important markets with opportunities to expand our mix towards core and premium products, broaden our product formats, and benefit from new leadership and distribution agreements. Across Europe and other emerging regulated markets, including the UK, France, Ukraine, Switzerland, Spain, and Austria, we believe Aurora's EU GMP capacity, regulatory expertise, genetics, and integrated supply chain are portable advantages that support long-term growth. We have now concluded our question and answer session, and thank you for attending and participating in the meeting. If you have any additional questions and would like to follow up on any questions presented to the meeting which were not addressed, please email our investor relations team at ir@auroramj.com. Thank you very much.
This now concludes the meeting. You can now disconnect.